now.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Larry Johnson. My background, I was with the Central Intelligence Agency for 4 years in the 1980s. I moved from the CIA down to State Department's Office of Counterterrorism. I was there with that office for 4 years. Then I left government service in 1993 and formed my own consulting company. I've been involved with international money laundering investigations, uh, product counterfeiting investigations, and then I also scripted counterterrorism exercises for U.S. military special operations forces for over 23 years. So I've had extensive experience with both intelligence, policy making, and military as well as law enforcement. I've got a pretty good view of the different elements of government activity.
All right. That was just to explain to him. We have on this show, my show, we have Swedish viewers mostly, and we don't get especially a lot of information. So I thought that was important that you.
Sure.
Thank you for making it short. And you also just now returned from a trip to Russia, right?
Correct. Correct.
Tell
I
me
was
about that a little bit. What
uh,
happened?
it's this is sponsored by what's called the International Russophile Movement. The initials, when you put it in French, I think it's like the Mouvement International Russophile, is it MIR, stands for peace or world. It was a discussion about uh, what the future holds for the United States and Russia with respect to the current hegemonic arrangement where the United States wants to talk about a rules-based international order, except it makes up the rules as it goes along. Whatever suits the United States is the rule,
Yeah.
and that system is in the process of being destroyed, broken up. So there was a small but smart group, people like Alistair Crook, Pepe Escobar, Eva Bartlett, Dimitri Simes, who was uh, I met him first in the United States when he was running affairs at the Nixon Center in Washington, D.C. And Dimitri's case is particularly unusual because he fled the Soviet Union in 1972, facing political persecution, came to the United States, became a U.S. citizen, uh, and then found himself wrapped up in the middle of the whole Russiagate phenomena, being accused of being an agent of Russia at the time, which was complete nonsense. And they went after him simply because he was one of Donald Trump's foreign policy advisors, or trying to be an advisor to Trump, if that's possible. And so ultimately, Dmitry has now gone back to Russia to find political freedom and to escape political persecution. It's
Wow.
a strange world.
It's a really strange world. And where I live in Sweden, we have even stranger things going on. Last week, on the 5th of December, our Minister of Defense, his name is Pal Johnson. He shares your last name, but
Yeah,
it's spelled the same way. And he is a known, advocate for NATO, for American military. He's well educated and gone to the finest schools, and he's been mentored by people like Henry Kissinger and another guy called Carl Bildt, which you didn't know who it was when I asked you last time. But
yeah,
uh, he basically signed something called the DCA. That's a defense cooperation agreement that basically led up Swedish territory to American armed forces with no restrictions, with no limitations. There's nothing about boots on the ground. There's nothing about nuclear weapons. Nothing. I mean, you
right.
would think that the USA has, what is it, 800 some military bases outside of American territory.
Yeah, it's let's put it that it's a lot. It
Yeah.
has more than the United States is probably the greatest imperial presence in the world, in world history. No other country has had so many soldiers, so many places at the same time.
And then Sweden is going to go into their territory with, in the agreement, it says that at least specified military Swedish bases, 17 are named from the north. Sweden is not that huge, but it's very long north to south.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you put the Swedish north tip in the south of Sweden, you end up in the Mediterranean. So this is from the south and all the way to the strategic places. And Sweden, of course, has a geographical position in the Baltics. And of course, now Finland is a NATO member, but we Swedes or the Swedish government, nobody wanted us to go and leave the neutrality that we've had for 200 years in this country.
Right.
But the government seemed very eager to get into NATO. But now they didn't get into NATO because of Turkey and Hungary are stopping it a little bit or wherever they can do it. And now the Swedish government signs an agreement to basically be a part of the United States military forces. How
Well,
does Americans even know about this in the media?
no, no. It's I mean, it's been in the news, but nobody's paid attention to it. Nobody cares.
Yeah,
This is dangerous on the part of Sweden. Um, Russia has not attacked Sweden. Uh,
never have. They have spied on us a little bit during
yeah.
the Cold War.
Right. Well, and Sweden spies on them. I
Yeah,
mean, people, this notion that because Russia carries out intelligence operations makes them bad ignores the fact that all countries, any country with any kind of competence, has spies and is trying to obtain information about what's going on in other countries,
yeah,
including guarantee the United States is spying on Sweden. And Sweden go, oh, wait, we're your friends. you know, wake up and grow up.
yeah,
It's absurd. But this is, um, Russia's reason for starting the special military operation in Ukraine was because of the threat of NATO expanding
yeah,
into Ukraine. Um, so what does NATO do? What does the United States do? Instead of trying to reduce, excuse me, reduce NATO in size, they expand it, and they expand it in a way that it's going to move. It's moving towards Russia's border.
yeah.
This is, like I said, this is the West is begging for a war with Russia, and what it fails to understand is it will lose. The West does not have the military power, force, or competence to go toe to toe with Russia. Simply does not.
Right. And I agree. And of course the media and the whole. I mean, I watch a lot of American mainstream media just to keep me informed about how much they're lying about things or how much they are omitting true events and true things, especially when it comes to, I mean, all these economic and military conflicts that are going on. I mean, I'm probably a couple of years older than you, but you're.
Maybe not.
I'm
I'm six. I'm 68.
all right. Okay, you got a few years on me. I'm 64. Yeah, yeah. But both you and I have learned a few things during the years
Yes.
about how things really work. There was another thing that is completely different that I wanted to ask you about because I see a few things that get published on the internet and so forth about this legal process against the president's son, Hunter Biden.
Right.
Is that just a show or is it for real? Do you have any information?
Yeah. Well, it is the indictment's real.
Mm-hmm.
The alleged criminal activity is real. The timing of it, though, is suspect because it appears designed to prevent the investigative committee in the Congress from being able to take testimony from Hunter Biden. Biden, who will be able to argue that since he's under indictment, he'll take the Fifth Amendment.
Explain to the Swedish what the Fifth
So,
Amendment.
yeah, the Fifth Amendment in the United States means that you are not required to answer any question. You have a constitutional right to remain silent.
Okay.
If nothing, you're not allowed to incriminate yourself, or they can't force a confession out of you. So, it's one more though reminder of how corrupt, Hunter has been. Um, there's a lot of corruption on the U.S. side. In fact, unrelated to that, but it just happened within the last week. Um, my business partner, John Moynihan, filed a complaint as a whistleblower with the U.S. Department of Justice,
Mhm.
Office of Inspector General. Uh, he has information that indicates, at least alleges, that Jack Smith, the prosecutor against Donald Trump, when he was with the International Court of Justice, um, was involved with an extortion scheme that actually involved two Swedish journalists.
Really?
Yeah, with a fellow by the name of Maliam. I have to. I don't have the name here right in front of me, but um, what's fascinating about it is that Jack Smith was working with Albanians and Serbians to shake down uh, people who were going to face charges, and basically given a chance if they paid enough money into a black fund that apparently went to benefit Jack Smith and others, the charges would not be filed. So
Wow.
it was an interesting extortion scheme. He was pulled out. Uh, there's evidence that this FBI agent McGonigal, who was arrested, who did plead guilty to influence peddling, he was also part of this scheme. So that's just come out. So that I think is going to start making some news. But uh, Sweden is definitely in the middle of it. I'll send you a link to the complaint.
Yeah. Well, some people in Sweden, me also being, I lived in the United States, obviously a few years, so I understand a little bit about. But unfortunately, I lived in Los Angeles, which was La La Land to me. But
Sure.
uh, being grown up here,
Actually, look, I'm looking for I'm looking for this name right now. I want
all
to
right, yeah, take your
I
time if you
want
can find it because that would be
yeah,
sensational.
because they're both. Like I said, there's a definite tie into Sweden here,
Yeah.
uh, and
Well,
and I think
I think in the meantime
some
you're
of your
looking,
yeah,
everyone in Sweden knows we have a worse media situation than any other country in the Free West. They're called Free West. We have two major corporations that own all media, and the rest is owned by the government. And the government is a lying propaganda machine here. They're worse than CNN, MSNBC, and everything else. They're worse than the BBC in Scandinavia. And they're all owned by the Norwegians, the only country in the world with no deficit in the state economy.
yeah. Okay, here's the name. Milam Milaim Milaim Zeka,
Okay.
and then his wife Edlira, yeah,
Mhm.
Edlira
Anita.
Ofalia,
Okay.
Edliria, yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Okay. And they
so
were all connected with this Jack Smith.
yeah,
Uh,
they were involved. They had knowledge of the plot. They were they tried to um,
well,
report on it as well. What
when
I'll
it
do is
was,
I'll send you a copy of the complaint.
that would be lovely. I could take it up on another show for the Swedish audience because this is important.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you
Just
very much, Larry.
uh,
I can tell you
send that
another
right.
thing. the
Yeah.
Swedish state television, when it was clear on the morning of the 16th of November that Donald Trump won the election 2016, uh, people in the live show from the Swedish television were actually crying. They were
Yeah.
crying. They said, "This is the end of the world. How could this happen?" Oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
I know.
absolutely pathetic. And it so happens that that day on the morning, we had a snowstorm in Stockholm, one of the worst in a long time. So we were stuck on the road going places to work and stuff. So we listened to the state radio because that's the only one that you can get in pretty much in a communist nation like Sweden. And they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, the world is going to end. There's a capitalist that took over the United States. This is horrifying. Well, everything, oh, and all the climate changes is going to be worse now. Oh my God, it was so. And of course, we people that understand a little bit, we just come on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this, well, I worked for a retired Marine colonel. He had a saying, there's no fixing stupid. So, you know, you get people in certain conditions and they are obsessed with their own delusions
Yeah,
and
terrible.
have completely divorced themselves from reality, from science,
Yeah.
and they do it always in the name of science or reality. They've constructed their own.
Another thing that Swedish state media and commercial media as well were shocked about was that of course, they flew down to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates for the COP28 meeting, and where the chairman there from the Arab Emirates says we cannot phase out fossil fuel,
Yeah.
and they went through the roof. Everybody said, "Oh, everything, the climate change now. Oh my God!" Instead of listening.
Yeah, well, history is going to record this period with respect to the climate. I call it the climate change grift.
Yeah,
Uh,
and that's a,
it is it's it, it's a scam put together by uh, a small select group of people who are making a lot of money off of it, and they're doing it to scare ignorant people. I mean,
yeah.
just listen to the very language. Climate change. Well, what's the opposite of climate change? Climate stasis? Well, anybody who's been alive for about a week understands that climate changes all the time.
Yeah.
And the actual the arrogance that we as human beings can control the climate. I mean, for God's sakes, we can't even control ourselves. Um, I'd be much happier if people who are concerned about the environment, and I think it's entirely appropriate to be concerned about the environment. Let's start by like picking out all the plastic that's floating around in the oceans. That's actually something we can do. That's accomplish. We can accomplish that. Picking up trash. You're about my age, and I remember very well in the 1960s
Yeah.
when we would drive around in a family car, and at that time it was considered okay to just throw trash out the window.
Yeah.
And then the United States started the campaign to clean up the highways. Well, that was an important change. It got to where littering became seen as something, even a criminal act.
Yeah.
So, there's ways to clean up the environment, but this entire grift about, we're going to get rid of petroleum products. The people that advocate that, I'd have a lot more respect for them if they themselves would immediately stop using anything that's made with petroleum products.
Yeah.
Of course, they'd be walking around naked or wearing a bearskin. But you know,
Yeah. Al Gore should stop heating up his swimming pools, for example.
or building luxury homes on ocean front. I
Yes.
mean, these are the same cats that keep saying, "Oh my God, the oceans are going to rise," which is why Obama and Gore and they go out and they buy oceanfront property. Please, the hypocrisy just stinks.
It does. I'm so glad that having this conversation with you. I do a daily show here in the Swedish language, which I admit, well, we use YouTube mostly. So there's a few things we can't say because they shut you down. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
listened to Clayton Morris, which is a good friend of yours, Poet Redacted. He showed an example. I thought it was the other night, maybe, or last week, that they had taken on Redacted, they'd taken a few clips that were published by the AP, the Associated Press. And as soon as they put that up, they got shut down or that was deleted. Because, of course, the Associated Press, which is a main media player,
right,
dictates what you're going to read or not be able to read.
right, right.
And they have subsidiaries in Scandinavia. It's called TT, Telegram Tidningarnas Telegrambyrå. And they are dictated by AP for information.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's um, the blessing of the internet, though, right now is that there are some alternatives where the establishment media, no longer has an iron grip on everybody. So there
Well,
are workarounds.
they can't stop us from sitting
Yeah,
here,
right,
for
right.
example. Maybe they can put some kind of restriction as far as advertising things, but I always press off. I'm not interested in Google's advertising uh,
Yeah, yeah,
thingy because it's minuscule money to begin with, and it just makes it their robots check and check and check and scrutinize if there's anything not allowed to say. So it's better just to press off. No advert.
yeah. Right,
Yeah.
right.
All right, Larry. Anything else you can think of in the world?
No, no, we'll just we'll continue. We're coming into the Christmas season, and let's just hope that we have some peace in the world. But the the conflicts raging in Israel and in Ukraine are really creating a lot of heartache and pain.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. And the Christmas season is not going to be that good for a
Yeah,
lot of people in the West Bank or in Israel for that matter, or in Ukraine. And also, we have Scandinavia had an early winter this year. I saw also pictures from northeastern New York State and Ohio with really bad winter storms. And we
yeah.
had,
Yeah, I
yeah,
just said we're getting cold weather even down in Florida. I mean, what people here consider winter. It was 46 degrees last night. Now
well,
it's Fahrenheit, which is
it would
uh,
be about 14 Celsius, I think.
yeah,
So
which
12.
here they consider that winter. I know in Sweden they say that's spring, but
Yeah, that's summer. No, we got quite nice summers in Sweden, but they're very short. Uh,
yeah,
it could be in Fahrenheit around 75, 80, which is 20 to 25 plus centigrade. And we usually have mild. We are in the Scandinavian peninsula, so we have the Gulf current from the Atlantic
yeah,
evens out. I'm thinking about Stockholm is at the same latitude as Anchorage, Alaska. So we're that far north, and Siberia is just to our, depending on which way you're going, right or left. Uh,
yeah,
when it gets cold in Siberia, we get that really cold weather.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's high pressure, which means there's dry air, no wind, and all the windmills stay still.
yeah. So, so much
When
for that green so-called green energy is called no energy.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks,
Many
Hakan.
thanks. Thank you very much, Larry, and have a good one. And
We'll
hope
chat
to see you
soon.
again on the channel. That would be fun. All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.